marking it, remembering those that they have lost, and lighting a light to mark it. Well, Milena Veselinovic is in Lingfield in Surrey, and what are they planning there?
Well, Dermot, residents of this village are gathering to reflect on the scale of the loss, to celebrate the lives of those who have died during this crisis, and also to support the families of all of those who have died during this pandemic. Few could have imagined a year ago, when the Prime Minister announced the first lockdown, that 12 months on we would still be living under restrictions. The scale of the death toll that we would endure, and the fact that we would be going into the second year of this pandemic still with profound changes to how we live our lives. Now, a year ago, there were 335 people who had died with COVID-19. Today, that number is more than 126,000. And in a few minutes, residents of this village and communities up and down the country will be lighting candles and torches on their doorsteps to remember everyone who has been lost during this year. But these candles and torches are also a beacon of hope that with the vaccination rollout, with the advances in medicine, in treatment, there is now hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel and that better times are coming ahead, Dermot.
Okay, Milena, thank you very much indeed. We'll be back with you there in Lingfield, in Dormansland in Surrey, precisely at 8 o'clock to witness some of it. Now, let's show you some of the preparations taking place for this moment of reflection. And there you can see central London, public buildings, major national landmarks lighting up in yellow or bright white to remember that, of course, at the heart of Canary Wharf, the heart of the financial centre in London. And we can show you some of the other buildings that are being lit up right across, iconic buildings right across the United Kingdom. No prizes for guessing that. Well, we've put it up there for you anyway. That, of course, is Blackpool. And the illuminations there noted throughout the years, but just one colour there to remember those that have lost their lives during the course of this pandemic. The Prime Minister, of course, saying that he will be reflecting privately about what has passed over the past year. And London's other major buildings will turn yellow, landmarks including the London Eye, Trafalgar Square, Wembley Stadium, lighting up at nightfall. And there you can see a single candle being put outside the door of number 10. And just to alert you, it's a live shot. There are plenty of cameras outside there. And there we are, 8 o'clock, and this moment of commemoration perhaps been symbolised by that sole solitary candle on the doorstep of number 10 on the anniversary exactly a year ago today, when we were focusing on that door for very different reasons, when the Prime Minister came out and addressed all the people of the United Kingdom and told them that we must stay home. No one then, and certainly not the Prime Minister, imagined how long that would last, with at least 3 months to go in England until the lockdown is fully lifted. The putative date, June the 21st, but of course we are being driven by the data, not the dates, so that could change. Let's concentrate on these moments of reflection. Start of the lockdown a year ago. As I say, the candle outside the door of number 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister saying that he'll remain inside, and so many other people right around the United Kingdom following a similar pattern, keeping them thoughts to themselves, thinking about perhaps those that have fallen, the effects. And it's not just, of course, about those that have sadly lost their lives during this pandemic. So many other harms, so many other damages in terms of mental health, isolation, physical isolation, mental isolation, deprivation that have come from these lockdowns. There's the scene in Bradford, a very atmospheric yellow light there, lighting up the cathedral there. And there we are, some more candles, just the simplest of tea lights there in Caldecott in Monmouthshire. Let's go back to Milena Veselinovic in Lingfield, and she was telling us just before the clock struck 8 how they were planning to mark this hour there. Milena, just describe the scene around you for us.
It's a really emotional scene, Dermot. If you take a look over here, neighbours have come together, community supporting each other in this very difficult time, reflecting on the loss and also trying to support everyone who's lost their loved ones during this very difficult time. And of course, one of the cruel twists of this pandemic has been that many people have not been able to say a proper goodbye to their loved ones because of the restrictions to visits to hospitals and care homes. And I just want to introduce you to Rebecca Govier, who is joining us. Rebecca sadly lost her husband to cancer during the pandemic. Thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate your time. Do you just want to tell us how has the pandemic made it harder to care for your husband?
So obviously we went straight into shielding. So our main concern at the time was Dean receiving treatment. But unfortunately his cancer had progressed and he had to undergo radiotherapy. And that's when we really saw him go downhill. And obviously his family were an hour away and unable to visit. So it was the Mary Curie team that stepped in, and they used to visit twice a day, and they offered not only emotional support but physical support, not just to Dean but to me and the kids. And there was one carer in particular called Toby. He used to come in and he used to go on the trampoline with the girls. He used to colour in. He used to just become, part of our family. So it really made up for, not us being able to see our loved ones who were far away.
What does it mean to see your community come together on a day like this to reflect on everyone's lives, including Dean's? Does it give you any comfort or support?
Absolutely. So also during the shielding period, we were unable to go food shopping. So it was the village that really came together. They'd make cakes, bring meals round, drop off presents for the girls, and it was a real community spirit. But obviously we weren't the only family going through this. I know in the village that there's a handful of people currently going through the same thing. And obviously, globally, there's millions of people suffering. So it's a perfect time to reflect and remember everyone.
And at a time when, we're seeing perhaps the light at the end of the tunnel, what are your thoughts, for yourself, for you're a mother of 2 young girls? How do you see the future?
So whenever you go through a life-changing experience, you can choose what you take away from it. And we have positives. We had all the extra time that we had at home. So the girls were off school, they were at home with their dad. We had the village coming together, so strangers have become friends. We're really close with our neighbours now, but it also forces you into grief. So whereas I would look for distractions, it left me alone with my thoughts, but equally I didn't feel completely alone because I could always pick up the phone and speak to friends or someone in the neighbourhood.
Thank you very much for your time, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
So a very emotional community get-together here in Surrey, and people remembering everyone that they have lost during this year to COVID or other illnesses, and a community with a hope for a better future.
Certainly. Thank you very much indeed, Milena. Well, let's check in with Dan Whitehead. He's in Caldecott in Monmouthshire.